Avenue of Poplars in Autumn is an oil painting completed by Vincent van Gogh in 1884, during his early years as an artist in the Netherlands. The scene presents a long, straight avenue bordered by tall poplar trees. Their leaves turn brilliant shades of yellow and orange, signaling the height of the autumn season. The avenue narrows toward the horizon, where a small, modest cottage stands beneath a clear blue sky. This composition draws the viewer's gaze along the pathway, emphasizing both the physical depth of the scene and the sense of quiet anticipation that comes with approaching the cottage at the avenue's end. The painting captures a tranquil, contemplative moment in nature, a hallmark of Van Gogh's early Dutch landscapes, and offers insight into his developing artistic vision. Van Gogh's approach to color and light in this work is both deliberate and evocative. The palette is dominated by warm autumnal hues, rich oranges, golden yellows, and earthy browns, used to depict the foliage and the blanket of fallen leaves covering the ground. These tones create an enveloping warmth, evoking the particular glow of late autumn sunlight. Sunlight filters through the canopy of leaves, casting elongated shadows across the path and illuminating patches of ground with dappled, sparkling light. This interplay between light and shadow adds a dynamic texture to the painting, suggesting the movement of sunbeams as they shift throughout the day. The sky, glimpsed between the branches and at the end of the avenue, is rendered in cool blue tones. This contrast between the warm earth and the cool sky provides a visual balance, enhancing the sense of seasonal transition. Van Gogh's nuanced use of color and light in this painting demonstrates his early engagement with the effects of natural illumination, a subject that would become increasingly important in his later, more expressive works. The composition of Avenue of Poplars in Autumn is carefully structured to guide the viewer's eye through the scene. The avenue itself serves as a strong central axis, leading directly from the foreground to the distant cottage. The tall, vertical trunks of the poplars line either side of the path, creating a tunnel-like effect that emphasizes the depth and perspective of the landscape. This use of linear perspective draws the viewer forward, inviting a mental journey down the avenue. The regular rhythm of the tree trunks and the repeating shadows on the ground reinforce this sense of movement and spatial continuity. Van Gogh's use of perspective here reflects his interest in capturing the experience of being immersed in the natural environment, and his desire to convey not just the appearance, but the atmosphere and feeling of a place. The avenue's narrowing lines and the distant cottage create a sense of destination, while the surrounding trees enclose the viewer in a sheltered, almost meditative space. A closer look at the cottage at the end of the avenue reveals its understated significance within the composition. The structure is modest in scale and form, its muted colors blending subtly with the surrounding landscape. It serves as an anchor for the entire scene, providing a point of rest for the viewer's gaze after traveling the length of the avenue. The cottage's simple geometry contrasts with the verticality and organic forms of the trees, reinforcing its role as a human-made element within the natural setting. A faint plume of smoke rises from the chimney, a small but important detail that introduces a sense of life and warmth. This subtle sign of habitation suggests that the cottage is not merely a visual endpoint, but a place of shelter and domesticity within the broader landscape. Van Gogh's inclusion of such rural dwellings reflects his ongoing interest in the lives and environments of ordinary people, a theme that recurs throughout his early work. In the lower right corner of the painting, a solitary figure can be seen walking or standing along the avenue. Rendered with minimal detail and dressed in dark clothing, the figure stands out against the warm tones of the leaves and earth. This human presence provides a sense of scale, helping viewers to appreciate the height of the poplars and the length of the avenue. The figure's placement and posture contribute to the contemplative mood of the painting, suggesting a quiet moment of reflection or passage. The identity of this figure is not specified, and Van Gogh does not elaborate on their role in his correspondence. Nevertheless, the inclusion of a solitary person enhances the narrative depth of the scene, inviting viewers to imagine the experience of walking through the autumn landscape. This motif of the lone figure in nature is common in Van Gogh's early landscapes, where it often serves to highlight themes of solitude, introspection, and the relationship between people and their environment. The creation of Avenue of Poplars in Autumn took place during a formative period in Van Gogh's artistic career. In 1884, Van Gogh was living in Nieuwenan, a rural village in the southern Netherlands. He had recently begun to focus intensively on landscape, and scenes of rural life, inspired by the realist movement and artists such as Jean-François Millet. Van Gogh's early works from this period are characterized by their somber palettes, careful observation, and attention to the daily realities of peasant existence. His letters to his brother Theo from this time reveal his dedication to studying nature and his efforts to master the depiction of light, atmosphere, and mood. In describing Avenue of Poplars in autumn, Van Gogh wrote of the sparkling spots of sunlight and the long shadows of the stems, underscoring his interest in capturing fleeting effects of light and the changing character of the seasons. This painting exemplifies his early approach, combining a realistic attention to detail with a growing sensitivity to the emotional resonance of the landscape. The provenance and current location of Avenue of Poplars in autumn are not definitively documented in public records. Like many of Van Gogh's early works, it has passed through various private collections over the years, and its precise ownership history remains somewhat unclear. Some sources suggest that it may reside in a museum or private collection today, but without confirmed details, its exhibition history is difficult to trace. Despite this uncertainty, the painting holds a significant place within Van Gogh's body of work, representing an important stage in his artistic development. The lack of detailed provenance is not unusual for works from this period, as Van Gogh's paintings were not widely recognized or collected during his lifetime. It was only after his death that his art gained international acclaim and became the subject of intense scholarly and market interest. In terms of value, early Van Gogh landscapes such as Avenue of Poplars in autumn are highly regarded for their role in tracing the evolution of his style. While his later, more colorful and expressive paintings tend to command the highest prices at auction and in the art market, works from his Dutch period are valued for their historical importance and the insight they provide into his artistic journey. These early pieces are studied by art historians and curators for the ways in which they foreshadow the innovations of his later years, particularly his use of color, light, and perspective. Reflecting on the significance and legacy of Avenue of Poplars in autumn, it becomes clear that this painting occupies a meaningful position within Van Gogh's oeuvre. It stands as a testament to his early commitment to observing and rendering the natural world, and to his deep engagement with the landscapes of his native Netherlands. The painting's careful composition, nuanced use of color and light, and subtle incorporation of human presence all contribute to its enduring appeal. While it may not possess the vivid intensity of Van Gogh's later works, it offers a quiet, contemplative vision that resonates with viewers and scholars alike. Through Avenue of Poplars in autumn, we gain a deeper understanding of Van Gogh's artistic beginnings, his sensitivity to nature, and the foundations upon which his later, more celebrated achievements were built.